BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 513 of BRB UK. It's a podcast from BigRedBarrel.com, where we like to talk about video games and not comment on any companies or websites that may be slightly imploding in on themselves because we don't have all the facts just yet. Anyway, I am Coleman. Hi! Dan is not here this week. He's birthdaying. He's another year older, so go say hello to Dan at Captain Average on Twitter or on Discord or whatever you want. Go say happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Enjoy all the festivities that come with being 60 years old today. So well done him.
We would have had him on the show, but we didn't want him appearing on his birthday suit. We thought that would be bad for getting more views on YouTube. So no. We said have the week off.
With me this week is one Mr. Tim.
Hello.
Hi, Tim.
Hello.
Good week?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a week of really good games. We'll hopefully get onto that later in the show, or shortly. But yeah, really enjoyed the games I've played this week, and I wasn't sure that would necessarily be the case. So yeah.
Yeah, really good games and a leadership change. Speaking of which, let's talk about Scorn. One of the more anticipated titles from this show, I think, because we've been talking about... I think Scorn was announced in 2015, but since the Xbox reveal that it was going to come to Game Pass, I know that definitely piqued Dan's interest with the dripping wall proboscis, as he was talking about previously. I was interested because it's a game that very much looks like the works of H.R. Geiger, and I'm a big fan of Alien and Aliens, that whole franchise, and that kind of style of things. Alien Seed, I think, was another one that I really liked that had his hands all over. So, yeah, this really caught my interest. And I think you, Tim, you were interested because game come to Game Pass means don't pay for game.
Yes, I mean, that really, that did help me play the game that I like the look. I was intrigued by the look of it. As you said, the Geiger kind of aspect is interesting. It also, for some reason, reminded me of Prey in terms of it being a kind of puzzle solving with some kind of first person kind of puzzle solving game type thing. I'm not sure I would have paid good hard money for it, but I'm glad I got to play it. Especially considering most of the reviews I saw for this have been wildly mixed, with no one going absolutely, oh my god, this game is the best thing since sliced bread. But a lot of people seem to go, no, this is decent, this is good. And a lot of other people are like, this is the worst thing I've ever played. I hate this. I couldn't play it for any more than half an hour. I had to put it down straight away. And I'm very much on the upper end of really enjoying it. I really liked what it did. I liked the puzzle solving element. I like the fact that there's not much combat in it. Well, there is a little bit of threat from other creatures in the environment type thing, but I think a lot of the atmosphere and everything from the game is something that some people will take to and some people won't, because it is disconcerting. It is something that kind of makes you feel uneasy and makes you feel like you don't want to be in that environment, basically.
Because I avoided all the reviews going in. Because I knew it was coming to Game Pass. I'll be playing it anyway. I wanted to make up my own decision, as I tend to with most games that I'm looking forward to. It wasn't until after I played for a bit then I started checking out reviews. And I found it really interesting that you could have literally two different reviews, both that said, not great mechanics, really good atmosphere, interesting gameplay, drags a little bit towards the end, this kind of stuff. Clunky shooting. Pretty much the exact same review, but one was 4 out of 10 and one was 9 out of 10. So it does show how divisive it is that some people like certain things, but those same things might not gel with a completely different person.
Yeah.
But yeah, they exact same criticisms, but much more harsher scores on it. I'm very much in the camp of, because this is a Coleman game. This is a Coleman House Coleman game. This is massive art style, really creepy atmosphere that I like, and I really am intrigued by it, and there's no explanation into the world it's putting you in. It's kind of piece it together as you like. But as Kev tends to say whenever he's on the show and talks about a game such as this, it's an artsy fartsy game, and that's exactly what I'm into. I love me an artsy fartsy game. So yes, Scorn, if you don't know, it comes from EB Software or EBB Software, Suburban Studio. I think this is their first title.
Okay.
Like I said, they announced this back in 2015 as, I think this was, I tried to look into them. All I got is they're a Serbian studio. So I'm pretty sure this is their first game. Announced back in 2015, big backing from Microsoft. I mean, as we said, it launched on Game Pass, so you can pick this up on Game Pass. If you don't have access to Game Pass in any way, then £31.99, which I think for the amount of time that's gone into it, it doesn't surprise me that it's that price, and especially for a new start studio. But it does, if you're doing the whole kind of dollars to donuts, am I getting the amount I'm paying for from this game because of the game's length? And I think I've seen it. I haven't completed it myself. I'm about probably about a third of the way through. I hear it's like 5-6 hours to get through, maybe. That sounds about right. Halfway through, you get your shooting ability. So you get half the game of not playing without a gun, and then the gun mechanics come in. So I don't know if everyone's going to find that it's the same argument we had with Stray. I thought Stray was reasonably priced. A lot of people complained about the length of that game, saying that it wasn't priced acceptably enough for the length of game you're getting out of it. But I thought it was reasonably priced. I'll have to wait till I get through Scorn to figure that itself. But I think alone out of atmosphere, and if you want a game that's going to make you feel creepy and unnerved, this is a game for you. I don't know how because you're a lot. I mean, I don't get scared of horror games and horror films and stuff, but I am susceptible to a jump scare. I know you are a lot better than that than me, Tim. When we've watched films or played scary games together, you are a very stern, laugh at it, blow the kiss at the scary woman in VR, that kind of stuff. Whereas I will jump at something.
It doesn't bother me, but I do. As I said, I did find the atmosphere disconcerting. I'm a little Scorn, you might say, but like it's kind of I do appreciate the environment. I'm probably not quite as far through the game as you are, even possibly. I ended up playing a bit more of something else this week, which we'll come on to in a minute. I think you can very quickly learn whether you're going to get on with this game. The start of the game, you are literally ripping yourself out of the environment, and you're kind of a skinless husk.
Yeah.
And everyone else is kind of slightly deformed. All the other creatures you come across, slightly deformed, not look like they're having their best day. There is a lot of almost like deliberately discarded without any care or attention dead bodies littering the environment, often completely nude. I think there is the game is more successful at what it sets out to achieve because it doesn't give you any explanation, because it does feel like a very alien environment, because it feels like a very hostile environment. It feels like you shouldn't be there. It doesn't really tell you anything as well. Like there's no clues. There's no like, hey, if you go to this part of the puzzle, you can get this. There's no hints at all. There's just like very alien.
No.
And I use that alien in not necessarily alien in terms of like outer extraterrestrial type thing, but very just, oh my God, I've never seen something like that before. What the hell is that device? And you're going up and you fiddle with the device to work out roughly what it does. And then you go and try and find other things in the environment to kind of piece all the bits of the puzzle together, basically. And yeah, I really like the way that works. As I said, maybe not the longest game in the world. I think for that sort of price, it sounds okay, but I'm not best to evaluate the value proposition of the game based on the amount I've played, basically. But in terms of
that's fair,
recommending it, and especially if you've got Game Pass, I definitely think it's an interesting one to get involved with, and you will soon learn within 10-20 minutes whether it's a game that you will get on with or not, basically. I'm keen to go back to it and play more, so...
I've got a feeling, because I'm going to push through, and once I get to the end, I've got a feeling that I'm going to want to go back in once I know the puzzles and like speed run it type thing. Not a proper speed run, but like speed run for Coleman. Maybe some I'm thinking either achievement clearing or maybe pick up on Steam later and play it on the handheld. But there's a couple of things that really got me. Like, for instance, and it's not just the creepiness, but like there's quite a fair bit of gore to this as well. And that's the stuff that gets me. It's more the cringy type, the cringe you get where you see like a knife go into skin or a needle or something like that. There's a lot of that feeling from this. So you're following two silent protagonists, one above ground in this weird hellscape looking environment, and another one that's more underground that looks very much like the Alien mothership. At any point, I'm expecting to turn a corner and see a huge dude in a chair, the navigator type character. And there's things in there like you get this kind of living machine that's put in your arms and your hands, so you can control door panels and things. But when that's put in, like you see it getting dug into your hands and the blood dripping and stuff. And I was like, and there's a thing where you've got to take like an egg sack type thing with a humanoid mangled character,
and you're
like
pushing around.
Twisted and
he's still alive and kind of reaching for you.
But there was a bit where I put it in a section as I suppose I have to hit this machine, and like a drill bit kind of goes in its head and it's screaming in agony while blood is dripping down. Yeah. And then at that point, I've still got to push him around, and his motions now change to going to while he's like groaning in agony, but now he's reaching out to me to sort of go, why have you forsaken me? And
then when you actually
that got me.
When you actually free him from that little pod he's trapped in as well, like you kind of get a big buzzsaw and carve into his back basically, and it actually digs like through the shell thing into his back, and you're like, I'm sorry, I was trying to be helpful.
Whoops. Sorry, first day on the job.
Yeah, I literally told my girlfriend, like, you might not want to walk in when I'm playing this game because it may give you nightmares. Like, you probably don't want to see anything that's on screen at any time, basically. But yeah, as I said, I think it's an intriguing game, and I've enjoyed it so far. If it wasn't for the fact that I went on to play something else, which I've been really enjoying, I would have played more of it this week as well. But yeah, I intend to go back to that at some point. Well,
I'm going to give this one a thumbs up and say, go play Scorn on Game Pass. If you're on the fence and don't have access to Game Pass, maybe wait for a little bit of a discount on it. But it's a pretty good game. Yeah. I don't know if there's a demo available. I should look into that probably. I should have probably done that before.
Yeah, maybe. But
anyway, What's the game that's got you excited this week, Tim?
The game that's got me really excited. Again, I was a little unsure going into this one whether I would definitely like it. The game itself is Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Now, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. Like, that definitely appeals to me. I wasn't enough of a Ghostbusters fan that I could forgive how bad the VR game was, despite being a fan of Ghostbusters in VR. So for me, it's been a while since we've had a good Ghostbusters game. And overall, I am pleased to report that this is a good Ghostbusters game. Like, they've really nailed the feel and I think the look of the game as well. For anyone who doesn't know, this is a game made by Ilphonic, who previously made other 4 versus
Friday the
1
13th,
games.
The game, and Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yes. Both I was intrigued by. I'm not really that massively into the Friday the 13th stuff, so that one didn't appeal to me too much, although I did watch a bit of Greg Miller playing that, basically. I was kind of intrigued by Predator and almost meant to pick that up. But Ghostbusters is definitely the one for me that license sings to me a bit more than the other two do, basically. So I was intrigued. The one thing I wasn't sure about is how much enjoyment I'll get out of this game playing in single player, and how easily like I can hook up with other people to play online, and whether that would be a restriction. So far, I have played this game entirely single player, and we may rectify that going forward because I'm hoping you will pick this up, Coleman, especially given what I'm about to say about it. But then also at the end of the show, we have a contest coming up where some of our listeners can win codes for the game. Now, I will preface that with that's slight snafu with the whole review things. I may have accidentally applied for some North American review codes, and we may have some codes that are only be used by American accounts. a lot of our competitions we normally do, and we haven't done some for a while, but a lot of the competitions we normally do are often UK based only because we've got to send the prizes out and they're quite big and the postage can be extortionate. So we tend to focus on UK. So this will be one where we will actually give a bit more to the US. But coming back to the game itself, I've so far played this entirely single player and I have really enjoyed it just from a purely single player aspect. I did think at first, going through the first couple of games, that the bots might annoy me a bit too much. But I think the bigger problem was actually I needed to level up some of my equipment so that the busting of the ghost was a bit easier, basically. The basic premise is there are...
The busting of the ghosts.
busting of the ghosts.
Very good.
Basic premise is there are 4 players on one team that are all Ghostbusters and 1 ghost on the opposite side. And you can play entirely with bots. As I said, I wasn't sure if the ghost bot was a bit overpowered compared to how useful the other bots are, but that seems to be getting better as I'm kind of leveling up in the game. But you generally have different environments. The first one is a museum. The second one is a hotel. And then there is a prison, a cruise liner, and then another one which I've forgotten because I haven't got to yet. So far, all of the ones I've played in, they kind of, different geometry to the level, obviously. It kind of works within, like, the museum seems like a museum. It doesn't just seem like a thing where they've stuck exhibits in random rooms. Like, they do seem like well-realised environments that feel well done, but also feel fitting for the Ghostbusters setting. They're not like the exact hotel that you were in when, you were chasing Slimer and stuff, but they do feel evocative of that at least. The game also starts out in the kind of firehouse environment, and they've retaken over the old firehouse and some of the old Ghostbusters, namely Ray Winston and played by Dan Aykroyd, and who is the other chap?
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, Ernie Hudson is the actor, yeah. So, yeah, and those two are the kind of voice actors that you see. There's also some people, kind of MacGuffin ways of going, well, these guys are going to like voice things to start with. And here's the cheaper voice actors we've hired to do most of the stuff. So there's a bit of that, and that kind of, you can kind of expect that to be the case. But they're kind of well integrated. Ray's got his occult kind of shop next door to the firehouse, and you can pop in there to chat stuff about him. And then there's the kind of main firehouse, and Ernie's kind of in charge and running things these days. And you've got like a new team of Ghostbusters that he's funding through to kind of deal with a resurgence of the need for them to bust some ghosts. And yeah, like, again, that's a well-realised environment. There are 2 fireman's poles, both of which you can slide down. And there's a couple of different areas where you can upgrade your equipment. And then you can like go to the phone to actually pick up jobs. And there's some like side hustles that are basically different things that you can achieve, like destroying a number of objects or doing things. So there's different things you can achieve in the levels that also give you sort of side missions to do within those levels as well, basically. And as I said, that environment's well realised. The actual other environments feel good and distinctive enough between them. It doesn't just feel like it's and now you're in a prison kind of thing. Like, it feels like it's well laid out and well designed in that manner. The actual kind of structure of the game, you have a ghost which has to try and haunt the whole of the environment. And they do that by kind of moving around the environment and scaring different people in the environment and different stuff going on. And there's some mechanics which I wasn't expecting. Like, one of the things you can do as the Ghostbuster is calm down members of the public. Like, just reassure them and say, don't worry, this isn't a big thing. You're okay, kind of thing.
I like it.
I don't get out of bed for any more than a level 4 thing normally, and this is only level 1. You're okay, don't worry about it. And so, yeah, and it's got like a little mini game associated with that. It's got like a little wheel, and you've got like different parts you can hit to give them a bit more reassurance and that type of stuff. And there is a mechanic where like the ghost is trying to drive people out of the environment and you're trying to keep people in the environment, and that kind of adds to the level of haunting as well, basically. So there's a kind of tug of war back and forth about you reassuring people and stuff like that. And especially if you've been tangling with the ghost and trying to wrestle it in with your proton packs and stuff, that kind of spooks the people in the environment and you have to go and calm them down. So whenever you've encountered the ghost, there is the need to calm down the other people in the environment as well, which I quite like. But then, yeah, the main sort of thing of the game is to obviously get the ghost and trap it in your wrangle it in with your proton pack and then trap it in your trap. And that works exactly how you would kind of see in the movies. It's easier to wrangle a ghost if you've got multiple Ghostbusters wrangling it at the same time, and the ghost can kind of tap on the button, and I'll come on to how you actually access the ghost in a minute, but you kind of just tap on the button to rapidly get away. There's also different skills that the ghost has to try and slime the people around you, which kind of covers you in slime and breaks your ability to, one, be able to see stuff because it does kind of cover your eyes a bit, and two, like it kind of breaks your grip of them on with the proton pack as well. You also have to be careful about your proton packs overheating, and you have to be constantly venting them if you're overusing them. And so you've got a few things to worry about. You can also then you have to kind of cleanse the slime off you, and there's a thing to do that as well. And yeah, that kind of works. It kind of works well as a balance. As I said, it did seem a bit more difficult to actually catch the ghost, especially when working on your own to start with. And I do suspect the game's going to be a bit more fun if you are playing online with other people. So yeah, encourage more of our listeners and stuff to actually pick up the game, because this is one I'm going to be playing online for a bit, hopefully. But yeah, you also, I quite like the way it introduces things with the ghost. You actually have to get through do a few missions as a Ghostbuster before you access being able to take over one of the ghosts. And the way they introduce that is you go in and chat to Ray, and he's got a copy of Tobin's Spirit Guide, basically, which they mention obviously in the movies and is kind of their go-to for information about the spectral realm and all that type of stuff. But that becomes an object that sucks you into another environment where you become a ghost, and then the book itself is actually talking to you because it's been like haunted by Tobin himself, basically. So he's literally being the Tobin Spirit Guide to the spirits, basically, which I just quite like the way they've done that. But then, yeah, he kind of introduces the way you work as a ghost and the different powers you've got and the different abilities you've got. When you're moving through the environment, you got access to your powers and you can use them when you're in a tight situation, but you have to recharge those powers by haunting objects. And so you can like take over an object and you can still move around, but you're moving around as that object. So it's kind of clunking through the environment. So you take over as like a museum sign or something. And then as the Ghostbusters, you just see this museum sign just making its way across the environment. But then you can throw a few curveballs to that as well. So you can actually, I was slightly incorrect in my terminology. That is possessing when you take over an object and you move the object.
Yeah.
But you can also haunt objects where you get them to just float around and move around the environment by themselves. So you might trick the Ghostbusters into blowing up other objects and causing a load of property damage.
That also sounds a little bit Prey-like.
Yeah, but you also kind of put things, off. You put them off your trail. Also, you can then sprint around the environment as a ghost, but if you're sprinting, it kind of leaves a trail behind you of where you are. So you've got to use that kind of liberally. But then also you can sprint through certain walls. There's certain walls that are marked with like a broken pattern. And if you go up to them and sprint, you can sprint through them and get to the other side, whereas the Ghostbusters can't. Found the best way for the ghost to actually like get rid of the Ghostbusters in general, though, is usually moving levels. So going up from one floor to another, because the ghost can do that rapidly. I've heard there's a shot thing that you can use to get up different environments as the Ghostbuster. I don't know if I haven't unlocked that yet, but I have heard they don't really tell you how that works and you just have to work it out yourself. So I don't know if I just haven't worked that out yet or haven't unlocked that yet, but that's something...
That's what the single player's for.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's something that might make it a bit easier or a bit harder for the ghost to lose the Ghostbusters when moving up and down between the environment levels. But generally, it really nails that feeling of having to combine your ghostbusting powers together, laying out a trap, pulling it into the trap. But you can't just run straight into the environment, see the ghost and trap it. There are, throughout the environment, there's a number of rifts that you have to close Otherwise, they act as respawn points for the ghost, basically. So I think there's usually like 3 or 4 in the environment, and you have to try and find them and seal them before you can trap the ghost finally and actually get it so that it's done. You could just trap the ghost multiple times, and then he'll have to respawn at one of those points, and then you can find him again and trap that. But you're kind of searching around the environment with your PK meter, either for the ghost or for the rifts, and you're just kind of looking around the environment to see where he is. And even if the ghost is haunting an object, you can still track him with your PK meter and stuff like that as well. So it does feel very much like the Ghostbusters experience, running around hunting with the PK meter, then throwing a trap out, then all kind of ganging together to wrestle this ghost in. When you actually do trap a ghost for the first time, you're like, okay, yeah, that feels good. I'm in. So yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've played so far.
Now I are Ghostbuster.
Yes, exactly. Busting did make me feel good.
It sounds cool, and I do like, with the risk of spoiling the latest Ghostbusters film, I think we're okay at this point, Ghostbusters Afterlife, because that ended with Ray's got his occult shop, and Winston's got the Ghostbusters, and it sounds like he's going to start franchising the Ghostbusters, and which is a side plot in the comic books and games and stuff that they've done in the past that I always really like, and wondered why we've never got that as a film. It always seemed like a natural conclusion for the Ghostbusters 3, but seems like we finally might be going that way. I like that it kind of ties into Afterlife with that and the same look of the characters and stuff. So that's all cool. What I do worry about with this game, because you said Friday the 13th, I love Friday the 13th. The game itself, I didn't go into because there was a lot of bugs and stuff when the game came out. I really didn't have the patience for that. There was a lot of complaints to begin with. Predator Hunting Grounds, though, I love that game. I jump in every now and then. I have a worry it's going to be a bit like that game where I enjoy that game. I'll put in several hours into that game, and then one day I log in and I'm going up against level 400 ghosts, and will have absolutely no chance of beating a completely souped up, very experienced person. So I worry about that, but I am sold on the idea of the game.
I don't know for sure because having not played the previous ones, but I'm guessing just having Jason or just having a Predator as the enemy may get a bit samey as well, but I think there might be a bit more variation to the different types of ghosts that you can have. Because I mentioned being slimed, but that is particular to the slime type ghosts, and there are various different types of ghosts to get through as well. So I don't know if that will lessen the ability to upgrade those ghosts because there are more of them possibly, and a greater variety of them. But as you say, I don't know how that will work out long term with leveling and stuff. All I know so far is I'm really enjoying it. Also, like graphically, it's not like massively crisp, but I think like all of the particle effects and the look of the ghost and all that stuff, that looks really good. And there's something about the graphical style that reminds me of the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and so that kind of makes it appeal to me a little bit more. It doesn't look like that, but there's something about the kind of graphical style that has a little nod to that, at least, basically. So, as I said, I've really enjoyed it so far. I think it's a really well-made game that's clearly made by people that have some reverence for the license as well. So, yeah.
Little correction for you there, Tim. You said the Ghostbusters cartoon. It's actually called The Real Ghostbusters.
I thought that's what I said.
That's not the cartoon,
yes.
You see. No, you said the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Okay.
It's called The Real Ghostbusters because they are the real Ghostbusters. The movie is a movie that was based on the people in the Ghostbusters, in the real Ghostbusters.
Right.
They mention it. They mention it in the cartoon. Okay. They're like, they're making a movie out of us with Bill Murray. It's cute. I like that. Also, the Ghostbusters cartoon is that one with the car and the ape and all that stuff.
Yes, that's not so good.
Bad shows.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, it's out now on all platforms, I think. I don't know if it's on Switch. It's not on Switch.
Not on Switch, as far as I know. It is on...
Not on Switch.
Xbox, PlayStation... I don't know if it's on PlayStation 4. It's on PlayStation
and
5.
Epic Game Store.
And Epic Game Store. Also, just on that note, it is I think, £35 selling price and a couple of quid cheaper than that on Xbox as well. I also didn't mention, but I've been playing on PS5, just so people know.
Yeah, it's $34.99. I think there's same as Scorn at the moment. I think there's an introductory discount price on those those releases. Do you know if there's crossplay at all? I'd assume there is for this.
There is, but I haven't set that up yet because it seems to rely on the Epic Game
annoying.
Store. It seems to, like, you have to link it to your Epic Game account to be able to do that. And I don't currently have one because I don't play on PC, but that may force me into actually setting up an Epic Games account so that you can play crossplay on it as well. So, as I said, I've enjoyed it so far. I definitely recommend playing it especially if you're a fan of Ghostbusters.
Cool. I look forward to playing that next week. If I get time, because all the releases are coming out in October. It's Broketober, guys.
Broketober.
Going to have no money left for games.
I've been playing Marvel Snap as well on Android. That did come out this week. We'll gloss over it because we are running a bit long on time because we spoke about Scorn and Ghostbusters for a bit. But I know Ian was keen for us to possibly talk about this. But yeah, just for the record, it's not Snap. It took me a couple of hours of playing the game before I was like, oh, like the Thanos Snap. Right, okay, that might be where they came up with the name. But it's nothing to do with Snap. It's not just Marvel Snap. It is a collectible card game thing, deck building game. There's like 3 lanes and you're like kind of got to win 2 of those lanes. You got 6 turns. It's quite simple to play. I will talk about possibly more next week if I get a chance to play a bit more. It did endear itself to me by the first character I unlocked was the Punisher. I was like, well done. Yep, you've sold me. I'm a little afraid of where it might go in microtransactions. That's why I want to dig into the game a bit deeper and see how insidious they are. But so far, I've enjoyed it. It's free to download, so possibly give it a try. But I'll come back and talk about that more next week.
So following on from Marvel Snap, we're going to, next week we'll have Marvel's Heads and Tails. You should have gone for the head. That's what you say when you get tails.
Oh.
I just thought of that. Yes, before we get into the news, a quick reminder. At the end of the show, 2 lucky winners, listeners
4, Coleman.
with American accounts. 4?
2 on Xbox, 2 on PlayStation.
You say it, Tim.
You will be able to win a download code for Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. As I said, we got 2 on Xbox Series and 2 on the PlayStation 5. So, come along and get the details at the end of the show.
Yes. Sorry, I got distracted because my watch messages appear on my watch, as smartwatches tend to. And every now and then images will pop up from chats. And my boss just sent me a picture of the back of my head, which I'm a bit scared about now. So
is your boss behind you?
No, when I was in the office earlier. So clearly they were having a laugh and taking photos of the back of my head and decided to just post them to me to freak me out while they know I'm recording a podcast. So that was nice of them. In the headlines this week, not including the back of my headlines, we have the Silent Hill transmission live stream was this week. And boy, would you believe it, there was a bunch of announcements, including a movie that we're not going to talk about because I don't like the Silent Hill movies, but we're talking about games.
I want to take issue with the word live stream. This was not a live stream. They just posted a video that you could fast forward.
That's what all live streams are now.
No, like most of the time, they put it up and there might be like an hour's wait until it goes live. Like they literally just put it up and you could fast forward through the whole hour and get to the actual thing. It was weird.
Oh, right. Because I saw the waiting and stuff. I assumed it had gone, because they go out as a premiere live stream and then once it's done, then you can fast forward, rewind.
Yeah, but it seemed like they just put it up straight away. Like, yeah, it's a bit weird.
Maybe it's in respect of the Queen dying.
I mean,
so that's what Nintendo did.
It just kind of took away a bit of the mystery because everyone was going, oh, you can fast forward. Here's all the things that's coming out before I'd watched it. So I was like, oh,
right,
okay, all right.
Anywho, we got 4 different titles announced of video games and experiences.
Yeah,
but the interesting thing is when you put up a bunch of teasers for your games and just write Silent Hill, whatever at the end, it's a bit hard to discern what each thing is. So you have to read synopsis afterwards that come with press releases.
I got this the right way around, I think. Anyway, yeah.
I got the gist of some of these. Silent Hill F, which I think is the most interesting looking thing to be announced out of this. This is...
with the weakest title, though.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Taken out of the world of Silent Hill, it's now set in Japan. And it's got a very kind of Last of Us feel about it, because it's Japan that's being taken over with some form of fungus. You see in the typical Japanese horror styling, a girl in a school uniform as she is in danger, looking a bit menacing with this pipe dragging across the floor before she gets engulfed in fungus, and then her face slops off with a horrible noise.
Flowers everywhere, and then just face falls off. Do you think that's what the F stands for?
Creepy.
Face.
Face off.
Face off.
And Nick Cage, he picks up the face. I want to be a Japanese girl. Give me that face. It's the only way to beat the fungus.
I could eat a fungus for hours.
Toadstool. I could eat a toadstool for hours. Yeah, I like the look of that. Again, no gameplay. It's a pre-rendered cutscene trailer, but I need to show a few people this that do get offended by horror stuff, because I think that last little bit's just going to be
spook people out.
Are you showing me?
I don't see what this has to do with Silent Hill, though, no? This seems like it's a Japanese horror game.
Yeah, if you don't see the word Silent Hill in front of you on this, you wouldn't know that's a Silent Hill game, because, again, it's not set in Silent Hill. It's completely outside that world. But I'm looking forward to it. I like the idea of this now jumping off Silent Hill. You wanted a Silent Hill game? We give you 4 of them. Speaking of which, the second one was Silent Hill Ascension. This one, it might not be a game. This might be some kind of live performance experience type thing. Cutting to what looked like some form of Silent Hill baddie boss character while there's a live chat going on, and it's people panicking and reacting. I thought it'd be some kind of multiplayer experience, similar to like Phasmophobia, maybe. And they keep mentioning that they have to save her.
Yeah.
And then there's a segment at the end that ends with Live 2023, which again makes it seem like it's some form of live service of some kind.
They did say that players will have some agency and be able to kind of actually influence how the Silent Hill world continues or something. I can't remember exact wording that they used, but they also had a quote from J.J. Abrams about how it was a different take on gaming and stuff like that as well. So that one seems a bit nebulous at the moment.
Bad Robot Studio is involved somehow. I saw the logo pop up on there. Yeah, interesting. We'll have to see how that
I'm intrigued again.
More as it comes, I guess. Another one of the big titles, in my opinion, big surprise, in fact, Silent Hill Downfall. So this comes from Annapurna Interactive and No Code Studios. Showed a bunch of unsettling images, and then the teaser kept swapping between images of the ocean in black and white, which then changed into a bright red, while there's a slow motion pan into a CRTV, while there is a voice demanding to know why the listener was here. But it sounds like brand new Silent Hill story game, which I like the sound of.
People speak very highly of No Code's previous catalog, Observation being I think the latest one of that. I haven't played any, from how much people spoke highly of them, I'm like, okay, I may need to go and check those out. And not the biggest horror game fan necessarily, but there was enough people speaking like how good that was, and how that made me look forward to Townfall more than I would have done from just seeing the trailer. But then also, I'm going to go and have a look at Observation at some point as well. I think that's available on one of the PlayStation Plus things or Game Pass or something.
Possibly on Game Pass?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
I know Dan played it when it first came out, and he was quite into that. That's the one where you're the ship's AI, and you're trying to control all the situation around the character. Yeah. I've heard really good things about that. I've been meaning to give that a try as well. One that some people are excited about, a lot of people seem to have their back up about, and I'll give an argument against against people that have a problem with this game before it's even out. But after months of rumors and speculation, there are 2 big things that have been rumored. It is that there is a Silent Hill 2 remake. That is what this is.
Yep.
Silent Hill 2, a remade. It's going to be done by, and this is the other rumor, Bloober Team are somehow involved. It's going to be made by Bloober Team, but it's going to be overseen by Konami as well. So we got a 3-minute trailer, we got some gameplay, we got a look at Silent Hill. It looks nice in 4K. We got to see Pyramid Head and other things from the game that you might recognize. The thing that people have their back up against is it's Bloober Team.
That's a strange
which
phrase,
I've spoken about Bloober Team before. Sorry, back up.
It's got their back up.
A thing that has got people.
People's backup.
Has got people's backup is Bloober Team. Sorry, I'm realizing it as I say it. I keep saying back up against the wall, and then mixing my metaphors, which is a terrible thing. I'm very tired. But yes, I've had my qualms with Bloober Team in the past, particularly with the medium. If you don't know Bloober Team, Polar Studio, they did the Blair Witch game, which was the first person document stuff on your phone, play around with VHS tapes, and the thing, that same mechanic we saw in Resident Evil 7. You watch it, you might have an obstacle in your way, you watch a videotape, obstacle changes. When you take the videotape out and start moving around, the obstacle has gone because you've affected it.
Right. Yeah.
Some weird time travel in the videotape. Interesting mechanic, I thought. Interesting game. Didn't quite stick with it. Got a little bit bored partway through. The medium, I remember saying at the time, they would be really suited in making a traditional Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill, Resident Evil type game, because they clearly take the influence from those older games where it's the fixed camera. It's very dated in the way it plays, but made to feel modern at the same time. I thought that was really good. However, what they do have a problem with is optimization. Because, my God, the medium chugs like crazy for no apparent reason. It didn't like the S. It did not like PC unless you had stupidly high specs available for it. And apparently, because I was taking down notes from from things today about certain high spec things on PC, and then it just dropped in afterwards. Hey, would you believe it? You're going to need some top specs to play this on PC because, wow, Bloober Team suck at optimizing.
we haven't really spoken about, well, we won't be really speaking about it on the show because we don't have it on the agenda. But there has been some reports this week that a lot of developers are calling to not have to launch on the S because it's restricting some next-gen functionality they'd like to do. I wonder if the medium were one of those people.
That's Bossa Studios.
Yeah, Bossa Studios were the people that were saying it. But I think it's, they're vocalizing it publicly, but by the sounds of it, a lot of other developers are saying the same thing behind the scenes. So, that's a bit of a shame for an S owner as well, but still.
I mean, I can see where they're getting at when you play some, like there's been a couple of games that when you play them on the S, it's like, ooh, you might as well just not put this out on the S. But as good as you're doing yourself a thing here. I mean, it's good for your streaming, it's good for your smaller things, it's good for, I mean, I'm not going to be offended if you go, hey, we can't play these games on the S, even though they play on the X. I think the problem you're going to have with that is you advertised everything that plays on the X will play on the S.
Yes, they marketed that,
so
and that was
you
perhaps
then have
a mistake.
A problem.
Yeah, made a rod for their own back there.
Yeah, although if you can stream the Series X game on the S, can you still play it on the S? Is that technically a way around it?
To be fair,
would they have to put a big asterisk at the end of that?
Yeah,
now?
I mean, is it going to be the next Switch where the big games only come on cloud versions? I would have expected it to function a bit better on the S than it does on the Switch, possibly, but I can see that possibly being a thing going forward. I think, especially as we go further into the life cycle of the console, that will become more and more acceptable for that to be a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Silent Hill 2 remake. We don't have an official date when that's out, but we know that it's going to utilize the Unreal Engine. I think it's Unreal 5, and also it's going to be a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, but it will also be coming to Steam on PC.
Ooh.
Surprising. I wouldn't expect them to have a console exclusive lined up for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly surprising one. I don't know why, but did this originally come out on the PlayStation? Because I kind of associate Silent Hill with PlayStation brand generally. I don't know if that was just the timing of when it came out originally.
I think, don't hold me to this because I never played them. I just remember I was a Resident Evil kid. I think 1 and 2 are PlayStation. then it's PS2 for a few of them, and then everything is cross-gen when it comes to the PS3, Xbox 360 era. And then there's some handheld titles that I remember some people not liking.
Yeah, and I heard people questioning why the Silent Hill 2 remake, and why after all this time not just remaking the first one. I think part of that was the fact that the second one is held in much higher regard than the first one. But also, I think it's just they are making a movie that is more closely associated with the second game, and therefore they're putting games out that now stand alongside that. So a remake of the second game makes more sense with that being the case, basically.
Also, I believe there is a Silent Hill 1 remake. It's just not very good.
One point before we move on from Silent Hill. I don't know, and it may be my ignorance showing here, that perhaps that name makes more sense in Japanese. But there seems to be another video game series where we just let them get away with having a very silly name that doesn't really make much sense. Like, all hills are silent. Like, no hills make noise.
It's the town.
Okay.
It's the town.
But that's still a stupid name.
That's it. Well,
it's a stupid name for a town and a video
influenced.
game then. Like,
yeah. It's Twin Peaks referenced, so it's the name of the town.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Did make me think, does Final Fantasy make more sense in Japanese? Like, does that name make more sense in Japanese? Someone please
because
tell me
they keep making them.
You know. But yeah, exactly. That makes no sense at all. But yeah, there's quite a few Japanese game series.
Resident Evil's a stupid name.
Exactly. And like, because they've been...
Biohazard was made way more sense.
Yeah, Biohazard makes way more sense. Because they've kind of seeped into, like... In fact, that makes even less sense, because Biohazard makes more sense in English, yet it was changed to Resident Evil outside of Japan. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. What are you doing? But, yeah, I don't know. There's this things that where Japanese game names have seeped into culture, and we just kind of accept them. But there's some really stupid names, and Silent Hill's up there, I think. Like, that's a dumb name.
The more you think about Resident Evil, it is a stupid title.
Yeah.
Like, Biohazard makes sense. Yeah. There's biohazards.
Yeah.
Not just zombies, there's monsters, and it kind of changes as the game go forward. And then we go, what are we going to call it in America? Well, we're going to check out the residents of this manor. What could be inside? Evil.
Evil is in residence.
It's a Resident Evil.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Although I do like 7, and it's called Resident Evil Biohazard, but in Japan it's called Biohazard
Resident Evil. Yeah, that was clever of them. That was
I
good.
like that. Moving on, that is Silent Hill. Moving on, so Bayonetta 3 is out just under a week, I think, from this point to the as a Switch exclusive. A lot of people are very excited. I saw the previews go out for this. I'm not hugely excited because I haven't finished 1 yet. I just rebought that, and then I was stupid me looking on Steam going, why can't I find Bayonetta 2? Did they not release it on flipping Wii U exclusive, isn't it?
It did come on Switch later, though, didn't it? I think I've finished 1. I don't think I ever finished 2.
Published by Nintendo. That's why I couldn't find it. I've got to go a while back before I start playing 3. Anywho, someone who is not happy about Bayonetta 3 coming out, that is the former Bayonetta voice actress, Hellena Taylor, who voiced the character of Bayonetta in 1 and 2, did not reprise the role for 3. Few people asked. Not a lot of people got answers.
Raised a few eyebrows.
All of a sudden, a week before the game comes out, Helena went onto Twitter, put out a series of tweets and videos claiming that she'd only been offered $4,000 to do her entire voice role for Bayonetta 3. And furthermore, she then asked fans to boycott the game and instead donate the money that they would be paying for Bayonetta to charity instead.
It's like,
admirable,
no.
if true.
Even if gamers did that, they would be just buying a different game. Like, you don't know how gamers work, I'm afraid. But anyway,
exactly. Hellena Taylor went to acting school. She's done a lot of stage work, and I don't think she's as au fait with video games as other voice actors may be in the industry by the way she talks sometimes. Anyway, there was a report from Bloomberg that has then been corroborated by VGC since, and in fact, actually, 2 other sites have cited different sources, or also confirming this information. but there is documentation that say that Platinum Games actually attempted negotiations with Taylor, saying that they would be hired for 5 voice acting sessions, which would have been paid between $3,000 and $4,000, according to VGC and other sources as well. And it's actually looking more like she would have got in the realms of $20,000, which, I don't know about you, I think that's a better payday.
Yeah.
One of the things she's arguing is residuals, which I think when you look at how much games make, because one of her arguments was, I think she said that Bayonetta 1 and 2 collectively made $450 million or $250 million between them.
Not sure about that. But...
And she didn't get any residuals. Yeah, she didn't get any residuals for those. So? I think that's the thing. When you look at the amount of money that is made for Grand Theft Auto, for instance, or Call of Duty, I think voice actors should get residuals based on the sales of those games as well.
I think they should get paid better. I think this was a possibly deliberate lowball offer. Maybe they just didn't want to work with her anymore. Maybe they just decided to go in a different direction. For whatever reason, I think they possibly did make a lower offer than she was expecting and a lower offer than she was willing to accept. And that may, we don't know, but may have been a deliberate act. I do believe that she should have been offered more money than this. I do believe that voice actors should be paid better. Do believe that her asking for a residual was an unrealistic expectation. No one gets paid residuals in video games. They did, for whatever amount of money it made, there are loads of industries where the workers that make the product should be paid better than they are for the return on what that gets and for how much money it earns for rich people already. But that's the way the world works. I have a problem with the way the world works, but nevertheless, that is the case. When the people that are making the game, as in the developers of the game, are not getting residuals, I don't think it's fair for her to ask for them. And I don't think that's a fair expectation for her to have. She can ask for it, but it's not fair for her to just go, I'm not going to do it. As I said, that said, they may have been deliberately lowballing her. I don't think she should get paid enough. I don't believe voice actors for video games or in general get paid enough unless you're already a Hollywood star, in which case you probably get a bit overpaid. But as I said, that's just the way of the world.
No, I understand. And I agree with you. What she's asking is something that wouldn't be considered allowed because it's not the standard.
Yeah.
However, maybe it should be the standard, especially when you look at acting in any other medium that isn't voiceovers.
Yes.
But anyhow, that's what I'm saying. So according to this report, not only did she get offered more into the tune of $20,000 instead of $4,000, she actually rejected that and asked for a 6-figure sum and the residuals as well.
Yeah.
There were lengthy negotiations, and Platinum subsequently hired Jennifer Hale, who has also been reached out to comment on this. And she said, no, I've signed an NDA. I can't talk about this.
She did go into some details, and she seems to have been unfairly maligned in this. I don't think she's necessarily part of the problem. A lot of people did rush to her defense and say she really does do her due diligence. She really does do a lot to kind of help out other voice actors, make sure she's not stepping on other people's toes, which possibly gives a bit of advice to this. Another kind of element to this as well is the game director. I can't remember his name, but the game director did come out and comment on this on Twitter. Something beginning with K that I don't remember.
The one who loves to block people.
Yes. Anyway, he came out and said, I can't remember exactly what wording he used, and it was possibly slightly badly translated or whatever, but it basically called her a liar and basically said she wasn't telling the truth, essentially. Alluded to that at least.
Yeah, and also said, remember my rules, which is that if you tweet him absolutely anything in English, he will block you.
Yeah, which does sound like a weird thing to say. But then subsequently, his whole entire account has been nuked. So whether that was on advice of his legal team or something else, or whatever. It's a bit weird that he didn't just delete the tweet and literally nuked his whole account. That seems odd. Maybe this was a last straw based on other bad interactions. I don't know.
I think he's been known in the past to just suspend his account for a couple of weeks and come back.
So it might be that.
I think he's done this in the past.
Completely, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like I've had enough of people. I'm just gonna take my account down for a bit, and then when it comes back up, all the tweets and everything pop up again.
Right.
It's
Okay.
one of those things you can do when you're blue checked. So Taylor's since come back and said that the Bloomberg Berg report is an absolute lie, and the statements on the reports are claiming that, and she's saying that Platinum is trying to save their ass and the game, and she stands by everything she said in the video. She also followed up with, "I would like to put this whole bloody franchise behind." She's English, by the way. "I would like to put this whole bloody franchise behind me, and quite frankly, get on with my life in the theatre."
It's a shame because she did a good job from what I've seen of the first two games, and it would have been nice to have her come back for the third. I would wager that the truth of this matter probably lies somewhere in between the two extremes that we've been told, but it will be very difficult, especially with all the NDAs and legal stuff behind it, to actually know exactly what happened here. But yeah, pay voice actors more, but don't make unreasonable demands as a voice actor, otherwise they will replace you because you are replaceable, unfortunately.
I do like, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but from the outside looking in, it does seem like they've gone, "Hey, you want to break your NDA on negotiations? Fine. We're going to accidentally leak credible sources out to 4 different news outlets."
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had to save their reputation a bit. But I really feel for Platinum Games in general and the people developing the game that didn't have any part in this nightmare, because I really like Platinum Games. They've had a few missteps recently. I really hope this isn't another one that really hurts them. But I really fear for them being on the Nintendo Switch, a game that doesn't particularly suit the platform well, and then having all this on top of it. I was umming and ahhing whether I was buying Bayonetta 3 or Sparks of Hope, and I think I'm probably leaning towards the latter, but I will see how that goes down the line. But yeah.
Yes, I ordered my copy today because I forgot it was out today. So I'll probably get mine by Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, early impressions of Bayonetta, it's obvious. It's a great game, but it's obvious it's on a Switch, which isn't the most powerful piece of machinery running. And I can see why they put it back for so long, because they need to get it running on a Switch. Oh, Nintendo, please just update your technology already. So last bit, and I don't want to go too much more. I wanted to get your opinion on this because there's been a lot of opinions floating around the internet about this, and there's been some outrage over, first of all, Gotham Knights, because they're about to release the day this podcast comes out. It comes out on the 21st, and less than a week before the game comes out, there was a Discord channel for Gotham Knights, the official Discord channel, which the producer Fleur Marty went on there and commented about the game, some details about the game, whether there was going to be a performance mode available on consoles, which there is not, and the game will be locked at 30 frames per second, which they've given reasoning following this, that there's the co-op mode, which there's also going to be a 4-player co-op mode that's going to be released shortly after the game comes out for free. And,
they have said that,
making all that run seamlessly.
I missed that announcement. Yeah. There is a 4-player co-op mode to come. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that is good.
4-player co-op mode. To get all this running in the way they need it to work, it still needs to be locked at 30 frames a second. So there is, if you're buying it on console, if you're buying it on the Xbox, if you're buying it on the PlayStation, which as well, it will only be Series X and S and PlayStation 5 because they axed the last generation versions of the game. It's still going to be locked to 30. So if you want to play it on 60 frames a second, not only do you need some beefy hardware because the specs are ridiculous on this, you need to be playing it on PC, on a beefy PC. So that is unfortunate. And then shortly after that, the announcement came that, which I think came out the day before it came out, but the new Plague Tale game, Plague Tale Requiem, is also locked to 30 frames a second on consoles, and not a very stable 30 frames a second from reports as well. A lot of the time jumping down to like 24 frames a second.
Yes.
Which is a shame. Now, before I get your take on this, Tim, I will say developers they're inclined to do what the hell they want with their games. However, when 60 frames a second seems to become a standard with current gen games, I think you need to give more prior warning that your game is going to be locked at 30 before the game comes out.
Necessarily know this for a fact because I'm not a game developer and I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of it. but I would suspect that is a very difficult thing locked down until you are very, very far in development. I would say that was a decision made in the last couple of months of development, not necessarily something you can target early on. I think the decision to go down to 30 will be made because the game isn't functioning properly at 60. And every game developer would probably want to go target 60, but may fall short of that and have to resort to going to 30.
Let's say the game goes gold. We'll be generous. We'll say 1 month before the game's release.
Yeah.
When the game goes gold, would that not be the point to say, by the way, our game is locked at 30 frames a second?
Right, but
not 2 days before the game's released, not 5 days before the game's released.
But I would suspect that the game going, again, I don't know this for certain, but I would suspect that the game going gold isn't the end of the story anymore, because it's not the end of development anymore. There is still like time and effort put in after the game goes gold into optimizing the game. And I would guess again that one of the last things to fully optimize and fully kind of realize on the game is the frame rate. I am not good at discerning the difference between 30 and 60 frames per second. I have to accept, from having conversations with people like Kev and yourself and other people, I would have to accept that there are people that are better at discerning that than I am. And so for those people, I would have to accept that this is a bigger issue than it would be for me. For me, I am much more concerned with having a stable frame rate, because that's something I tend to notice the effects of more than having a higher frame rate necessarily.
The problem I have now is because I used to play games at 30 frames a second, and much like you, when people go, 60 frames, 120 frames, all this kind of stuff, I just didn't care. I was like, well, I just want to play the game. The problem I have now is after playing games, and as we mentioned many times on the show, it comes up with VR, it comes up with travel in general, I get very, very quickly, very easily travel sick.
Yes.
Once I started playing games at 60 frames a second, when I bump a game down to 30 frames a second to go, let's see what the visual fidelity mode is like, I get horribly car sick, travel sick playing the game. So now I literally can't play 30 frames a second games because that makes me sick.
Yes.
And the reason I'm not going to go out and start sending death threats to developers because they locked the game down on my favorite platform or anything like that at all. But I will say, it is the developer's right to say, this is how our game is, but at the same time, it is the consumer's right to go, well, I'm going to cancel my pre-order.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. What I'm annoyed about is that I wasn't on their official Discord channel. And if I didn't say one particularly annoyed Twitter user say, I've cancelled my pre-order, I'm now going to buy this on Steam.
Then you wouldn't have known prior to launch.
Frame rates. And then I wouldn't have Googled it. I wouldn't have looked into it. I would have got a game of 30 frames a second, which I probably would have bought digitally. So once I started playing that on PlayStation, they would have gone, nope, no refund for you. And I would have been stuck with a game I can't play.
Right. The one thing
for 70 quid.
Yeah, the one thing that is bad, and that's something they should possibly surface more, as you say, a bit earlier, so that news does get out a bit more. I can understand your frustration in that regard. I would say though, if that is one of your primary concerns, and it is, then you should be looking to have your primary platform be PC. That should be your go-to for most things. That's basically what they're telling you here.
That's good, but who's got £2,500 to build a high-spec gaming PC to run these poorly optimized PC games in a lot of cases?
And the other £2,500 you need for the electricity to run those cards as well. I can see your frustration there, and I understand it. But as I said, I think you just need to be going, all right, these type of games I will have to probably primarily buy on PC or get on Xbox and PC so that you can have them back and forth there, possibly. I also saw a few... Or,
alternatively, don't buy them.
That's the other thing. I mean, look, I don't pre-order ever anymore. I lost out on... I should have said it I bought my own copy of Ghostbusters earlier, but I didn't pre-order, and that meant I didn't get Slimer, and I am upset about that. But at the same time, I'm not going to pre-order games. I just don't do it anymore because I will wait for reviews. I will wait until, I've got a bit more information to kind of make that purchasing decision. And I would say that you possibly need to make the same sorts of decisions these days as well, Common. I also saw a few developers commenting on this week and saying that this problem is only likely to get worse as we get further into the generation and game developers are pushing the console more and more. It's more likely that more games will be running at 30 frames per second. So, yeah. I just think that's one of those things you're going to have to find a way to live with or live without, Coleman.
Best get saving for a lot more PC components. I'm just going to drown in PCs these days. Anyhow, that is all the news we got time for this week. We are going to give a quick plug to our TeePublic store at teepublic.com/store/BRB. Go get yourself some merch. We've got Bigger Barrel merch. We've got BRB UK merch. We have merch by some very talented artists that depict different cool video game things, including Tim. Tim's done some art on there as well.
Yeah, I've made Dan's face.
That you did not make Dan's face.
That's an original creation by me. I own that. If you see Dan's face anywhere, I want a residual on that, okay?
No, I found Dan's a VHS copy of Dan's appearance on Games World, uploaded to YouTube, which I then freeze framed a specific section, which took me ages to get that specific section just right, and then cropped out certain things, added certain things, fed it to an AI image generator that upscaled it to 4K, and then sent that to Tim, who then put some kind of filter on it and went, there you go, stick that on a t-shirt, lads.
Then photoshopped it and made it all graphic-y. But anyway, that's the technical term.
Yeah, all graphic-y.
All graphic-y and
that
stuff.
That is a technical term. You would know. You're the graphic designer out of us.
Yes. There is also a 24-hour sale currently on TeePublic, 35% off at the moment. I believe that will run out the day that you hear this podcast. So run to the store.
Why mention it? Why mention it?
This is why you should listen to the show early, because you get all the hot news and stuff.
How early? How quick do you think I can edit these some days? Do you know how long it takes to get the YouTube export done?
Like a couple of hours ago, it was for 24 hours. So it should just about cover you for it going out and people listening to it. But you will have to be fairly snappy. But there are a number of flash sales on where there's 35% off at the moment. So look out for one of those and grab some merch while you can.
This is why you need to sort your lag out so we can start doing live streams.
You can own Dan's face.
And we can do things like this.
Yes, true.
You can own Dan's face. Right, and Tabletop Tuesday. Tuesday is a Tuesday. Tim, why don't you tell us about this coming Tabletop Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday, we don't have a feature game again. Usually on Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, we have a different feature game, and you can play that feature game and win a copy of that game at the end of the evening. This week for Tabletop Tuesday and last week, we're doing things a little bit differently. We have double the prizes to give away, and we have some fun games to play. We did Dice Wars last week. We'll be doing a version of Play Your Cards Right this week for people to win the prizes. But yeah, basically, it's a little bit different to our normal format, but it's good fun, and we've got some other prizes to give away, so we'll be giving those away this week. There are more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel, and you can also join the over 2,000 people in our meetup group. Search for Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com. And that is at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Come along and join us. We are there every Tuesday, normally with a new game. Not this week, but we will be returning to our normal format the week after. And we have some absolutely banging games coming up for our Halloween special and a few other things as well. So definitely some stuff to look out for. Ooh. And I also have another event to announce soon, which I will give you an early teaser for now and no more details. But keep an ear out to the ground for that as well. So there you go. Yeah, just Loading Bar did a Ghostbusters event, but that's tonight, so it'll be too late by the time you see it. So you thought my t-shirt thing was too limited, Coleman.
Stop announcing
Ghostbusters event is
Stop announcing things that are already done. That is Tabletop Tuesday over at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington for Tabletop Tim's big old special Tabletop Tuesday giveaway extravaganza. We need a better name, a snappier name. 2 weeks running.
I mean, that's the first time anyone's referred to me as
Tabletop
Tabletop Tim, despite me doing Tabletop Tuesday for 10 years.
Tabletop Tim.
But, yeah. There you go.
There you go.
I have a
We're going to get you a special
name.
jacket, Matt. We spoke about the Quizmasters jacket last week, and I did start, while I was listening back, I went, oh yeah, and started Googling Quizmaster jackets. I think we need a Tabletop Timmy Quizmaster jacket. It'll be quite good. Okay, right. We have been alluding to a giveaway of Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. So, if you remind me again, Tim, what are the platforms we have codes for?
They are North American codes only. I believe that may cover Canada as well. Mr. Pac-Man Polar Bear, if you're still listening, hello. I'm not sure. Basically, North American codes. You probably know if that works in your region or not. We have 2 codes for Xbox Series X and S and 2 codes for PlayStation 5. They will allow you to download the game for free and then play it. And you don't have to come play with us, but you are welcome to if you can. Although we'll have to get crossplay working and stuff to do that. But yeah, that should be good. Yeah, what we're planning to do with this is just encourage some more comments on our YouTube videos. So go and comment on the YouTube video. You can make any comment you like. Please make it somewhat polite, or if you can, nice. But generally, just come along. You can ask us a question. You can tell us something. You can just go boo, whatever you like. You'll be entered into the competition as long as you use
the ghost emoji.
Ghost emoji as well. But use the hashtag GhostbustersSU. Put that in there just to let us know that you're entering the competition alongside with your comments. And also just mention the platform that you want, Xbox or PlayStation. And we will randomly choose 2 people to win the Xbox code and 2 people to win the PlayStation code. Come along and comment on our YouTube video. And yeah, that's how to enter, basically. We'll make it nice and easy just so that we can try and get some codes out to people. Come along and do that, and you can win a copy of the game. And you can see if busting makes you feel good too.
That might not mean what you think that means.
Oh, why?
Well, yeah, you could write, busting makes me feel good, hashtag Ghostbusters SU. If you write, I will warn you now, if you write up your slaphead, hashtag Ghostbusters SU, I will disqualify you. Unless you're the only entrant, then I guess we've got no choice but to give you a game. Which is quite likely.
I mean,
our interactions
as I said,
on YouTube sometimes.
You'll have a slightly higher chance of winning and not getting disqualified if you're nice. Nice.
Right. As well as our YouTube, you can also get in contact with other means which are available on bigredbarrel.com. We have a comment section there for each and every episode. We also have a link to our Discord. We have a Facebook and Twitter at Big Red Barrel. And we also have a YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV, which, your teasers YouTube. They've contacted me about something called Handles that's coming up, which may fix our problem, which I gave up on trying to fix 2 weeks ago. And now they've come back to me and gone, by the way, this new thing we're launching might fix all your problems. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Anyway, at the moment, it's Big Red Barrel TV. Links to all of those different methods of getting in contact with us are available in the show notes, as well as links to anything that we've been speaking about, like the Gotham Knights stuff or the stream not a stream video to Silent Hills. So there you go. When you get in contact with us, you can go over there and say it loud, say it proud, scream to us, I have a question, much like these fine people have done. And we got some good ones this week. So first of all, Richard Voss Kirk Bonman, he has come to us and said, with the success of the Monkey Island Resurrection, I believe he means Monkey Island's The Return of Monkey Island, which other beloved but dead game franchise would you like to see brought back? If I may
Silent
answer
Hill?
first, Tim, I've got a couple here. Sure, why not? I was going to say, because not only did we got Monkey Island back, but we got it back in a point-and-click format, so I was very happy about that. We're also getting the return of Fable, so it looks like someone's listening to my wishes and answering. So I would like to throw a few out there. Dizzy the Egg, if I could get him back in some form. It's been tried a couple of times. I like Dizzy. Black and White, I got reminded of this franchise and thought, oh yeah, give that back.
Okay.
No Clip just put out a documentary about Black and White, which I've been meaning to watch. Turrican, we had a Turrican re-release of all the Turrican games on PlayStation 4 last year. I think that was last year or the year before. I'd like a
full-on
proper
new Turrican.
remake, but done in the still a 2D platformer, but like new technologies and make it all cool and 4K. That'd be amazing at 60 frames a second. And also, if we're listening to my wishes specifically, because someone out there is, I think if I remember correctly, this was an Enix title, so this would be Squeenix now. Buster Groove.
Ooh,
I've been asking for this for years.
yeah.
Either a HD remake of Buster Groove and Buster Groove 2 or a new Buster Groove title. I don't care. Just give me one of those.
Okay.
Please.
I would like to see a new Punisher game. Bit of a boring answer for me, but I really like the original. I would take just like a remake of the previous one, nice and violent and nice new stuff. But it's really hard to play the old one because it's not compatible on Xbox One even, I think. Or no, it was on Xbox One, but it's not one of the ones that's backwards compatible on the new system, I think, on Series S or
You
whatever.
still have an original Xbox like right behind you.
Yeah, but that means, hooking that up, actually getting pads out for it. It's all wired pads on those, unless you get the weird wireless ones and stuff. So, yeah, that's a bit difficult. That just made me think as well that we haven't really had a Daredevil game, and like it'd be nice to maybe have a Defenders game. Anyway, that's going off the topic of what he really asked. I'd have to think about that a little bit more to kind of go with one. I mean, we're getting a slight spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio. That would probably be my answer otherwise. That's one of my favorite games that doesn't really have something like that, but that's already on the way. Yeah, I may come back with a different answer and respond on the Discord if I come up with anything in a longer time period when I got a bit more time to think about it.
Okay. Ed's got 2 questions for us, as Ed likes to do. First of all, it says, which would be better to play? A Columbo game where you have to solve murders, or a Frasier game where you have to try and get him through a scenario without having a breakdown? I will like to say that as much as I want a Columbo game, because I do love Columbo, I do also love Frasier. And there's been this project online, I don't know if you've seen it, Tim. Someone's been trying to make a Seinfeld point-and-click game.
Right.
It's completely unlicensed, but it does look really cool, especially if you're a fan of Seinfeld and get all the references. I would like something like that as a Frasier game. But yes, the idea of trying to get him through his day-to-day scenarios without losing the plot would be brilliant.
The problem with the Columbo game is it's a murder mystery game where they're going to tell you who the murderer is first and foremost. I'm not sure how well that'll work. That could be interesting, actually. That could have some interesting ramifications of you just need to trap them, make sure you get a way to trap them into doing stuff. I think the phrases thing sounds funnier and a bit more interesting, though. I'm not, although I may have just talked myself around into a different thing, actually. I'm intrigued to see how the Columbo thing would work as a video game. I want to see that. Let's go with that.
Well, it not only is it because you solve the murder straight away, but you have to coax them into a confession as the TV show goes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to. I would imagine you need to play the game enough, like you're solving the clues and getting them on edge, but at the same time you have to act like a bumbling idiot of a lieutenant.
Find clues, but then
some kind of bumble meter to follow.
But then you also you can like lower their expectations enough that they don't think that you can solve it. Find clues that prove that they've misspoken in certain cases, and then have that gotcha moment where you kind of just put it all together. Basically, that'd be quite interesting, I think. Yeah,
I think this all stemmed from that someone's made a web comic, a 4-part web comic, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll put it in the show notes if I can find it. But it's a crossover of Frasier and Columbo, which I forwarded to Ed because we're both fans of both things. So I think that's what sparked the interest in this conversation. It was very good, though. I enjoyed it. I'd like to see the proper episode. Also, question the second from Ed. He says, I read a Twitter thread where idiots tried to explain to David Hayter of Solid Snake fame that Metal Gear Solid was not political.
So very, very, very political anyway.
Very political. Which games do you think have been the most misrepresented, either unwillingly or on purpose? I think 2 come to mind. Anything by Ubisoft,
It's all just a coincidence.
Our game is not
that this is
political about Brexit.
political stuff. Yeah, we're not making a social commentary.
It's all a land
real
of
social
make-believe.
commentary. Yeah, like that's Watch Dogs and everything else. Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good answer, Coleman.
Either that or if you remember the discourse around the Wolfenstein game coming out on PS4, where I think, was it Wolfenstein or New Order? I think it was Wolfenstein, and it might have been New Order actually. And basically, their whole campaign on PR online, on social media, seemed to be around punching Nazis is fun, killing Nazis is fun. And some people decided to kick off and go, well, that's not very nice to the Nazis.
No.
And we're not talking about using the term Nazi as an insult on Twitter. Yeah. We're talking about literal World War II, Third Reich, Nazis. Iron Cross Nazis.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst take, I think.
Yeah. I think you've probably hit the two best answers there, Coleman, basically, as far as I can think or come up with. So yeah, I'll go with you on both of those.
I'll tell you what, I'll let you have the Ubisoft one. We'll say the Ubisoft one was your answer.
Okay.
Because I know you like pointing to that one as well as me. I probably stole that from you without realizing.
Possibly, I've probably Like I just think just have the bravery to have the conviction and stand by the social commentary that you are making, rather than undermining the whole thing by going, no social commentary here. No, nothing political. Oh, it's just entirely coincidental.
Not only that, someone's written that plot, someone's written that story, outlined that story, storyboarded, and you're undermining their vision.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
By saying, oh, no, it's nothing to do with the modern day or anything.
Papers,
like
please, not political at all. No.
This has been episode 513 of BRB UK. Thanks for listening. We're going to wrap up now and go away for another week. I'm assuming we got Dan back next week. Here's hoping. Yep. He's a very busy man. He's got busy things. He's got busy time. What we got next week? We got Sparks of Hope. We've got Tales from the Borderlands.
Ooh.
Hopefully we'll be talking about one of those things.
Heard good things about both.
Mixed things about Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay. I've only heard good
hearing
things
great
so
things about Sparks of Hope. Oh, good. Well, maybe that's good then. I need to look into that. I don't know if it's episodic or not, or if it's just a game. I really hope it's just a game. I can't be waiting with all this Telltale waiting around for games, even though it's not Telltale. Anyway, I'm blathering now. I think I'm just stretching out the time, really. Yes, this has been. I already did that bit, haven't I? So for another week, I have been Chaos.
I may have been Tim. And Dan may be here next week.
How chaotic of me to redo the outro twice, as I tend to do when I'm getting rambling. How chaotic of me to ramble about topics that we're going to talk about.
I think you need to go eat something.
But until next week, I think I just need a bit of a sleep before I edit. Until next week, dear listeners, where we will talk about those topics and more. And goodbye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
Antiquarian, I think if I said that right, I might not have said that right.
Your antiquarian.
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 A woman who digs for antiques. Let's say like that, I guess. But yes.
I mean, she does have a thing for older men.